protecting our community is worth a shot. Vaccines can help protect you, your family, and our community. Stop by James Drugstore today.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. This is our special edition every week. It's called Group Therapy. I sit down with these two gentlemen across the way from me. If you are looking, as in watching, I should say, this podcast, we do appreciate it. Or if you're listening, we do appreciate it. And if you are listening, I'm going to go ahead and let these two guys introduce themselves real quick so that you can put a sound to a face and a name. So we're going to start on my left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm the sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And the right.
And this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the news.
And as I said, my name is McHugh David. So getting into it today, we've got lots to talk about. Unfortunately, a lot of it isn't as connected as I usually like to sort of keep the flow going. So we're going to try to keep this as not as disjointed as possible. So first and foremost, I do want to bring up booster shots. This has recently become something that has been pushed, or is being pushed, I should say. Yeah. We are in the act of pushing. Us are reporting, the Louisiana Department of Health has approved booster shots as something that they're going to get behind. David, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, that was, that was earlier this week. The Department of Health, they followed federal guidance, and there's been a lot of confusion over, I guess, from, between the FDA and the CDC on exactly who qualifies for a booster shot. But for the Department of Health, for Louisiana's purposes, they're going to basically go by if you took the Pfizer vaccine, which we all know is the 2-dose vaccine, and that was the first one to receive full approval from the FDA to have the regular approval, not the emergency use authorization like the other two. So if you took that, if you completed the Pfizer vaccine 6 months out, you are eligible for a booster shot. If you're 65 and older, if you're 18 and older, and have certain health conditions that would make you more susceptible to a severe outcome from COVID, or if you're 18 and older and work in an environment that puts you at more exposure. Some of the examples that the state health officer gave were, nursing homes, prisons, assisted living facilities, hospitals, classrooms if you're a teacher, those sort of professions that put you in contact with a lot of people. You're eligible for that third booster shot. Now, during a Zoom call the other day, Dr. Joe Canner, the state health officer, last month, I should say, there was an announcement on third doses being made available to people 1 month after they took either the Pfizer or Moderna vaccine. That is different than this latest announcement about booster shots. That third dose is really for people who have what he called immunosuppressed or immune systems that were very compromised. People who are undergoing cancer treatment, who recently had an organ transplant, who take high dosage steroids. Those people like that who have, and he said that's a small number of people whose immune systems are severely compromised. They should look at that third dose more as completing their regular vaccine series more than just the booster. This other one is boosters. This is for people who would just like that extra protection 6 months out after completing their Pfizer vaccine series.
So I think that was very good, delineating between a booster and the third shot. And it can get confusing.
Yes. I was confused when I first saw it. That's why that was the first question that I asked him during the Zoom call we had, because I wanted to be sure, okay, what's the difference between this and this? And he said, he did say, yeah, he likes to distinguish third dose versus booster. That third dose is really for people who, he said basically it would provide the same protection for those people as it would for, your regular person just taking the 2-dose. Their immune systems are better equipped after 2 doses versus those other people. Like, if you're undergoing chemotherapy, you would really need that third dose.
Right. So I did think that was important. I wanted to talk about that. The other thing that's important here in the community, and we're going to jump back to you, David, after you talk about this. We're going to go to sports, but first I want you to mention, the weather's cooling off, and Fall Fest is this weekend. That is going off without a hitch. The Parish Fair was canceled, but Fall Fest is going forward. again this Saturday. Tell us a little bit about what people can expect.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of shopping, a lot of a lot of shopping, a lot of food, a lot of kids activities, a lot of music. It's going to be a regular fall fest. I know for Spring Fest they didn't really have any of the kids activities because that was still kind of in a surge, or I can't remember exactly. I think we were maybe coming down. We were coming down from the winter surge. That was it. And but we were still under phases at that time. Well, now we're not under a phase. I mean, we're under just pretty much just the indoor mask mandate. This is outside. They're gonna have 165 booths, and we all know last year in 2020, Spring Fest and Fall Fest were both canceled. Well, 2021, Spring Fest was able to come back, and it went pretty well, and now Fall Fest is coming back. So, I mean, this is really, Fall Fest is usually the bigger one, too, because this is kind of it's a couple months before Christmas. So, I mean, people are trying to get their holiday shopping in. And it really kind of kicks off all the events that go on in the Antique Village, because Christmas in the Village is really a big draw every year. And last year, we know that didn't happen. And, as of right now, they're planning on doing their Christmas in the Village slate, the light in the City Hall Christmas tree, the parade and activity scene, and Small Business Saturday. They're planning on doing all those things. Chef's Evening. So Fall Fest, they're looking for a good time. I mean, obviously the weather is always the last thing that they spend the waning hours just fretting over, just hoping that the rain holds off. But as of right now, says cloudy on the National Weather Service. Who knows? It could change in a day. So just wait to see. But as of right now, it looks like Fall Fest is going to be going on without a hitch, and there's no COVID restrictions on it right now. So that's the main thing. The weather, that's something that we always have to pay attention to, regardless.
Sure, this is Louisiana after all. So jumping over to Rob, talking about the weather. Weather's cooling off. We're deep into the fall sports. Everybody's gotten started. First and foremost, let's talk about what's going on in cross country. I do, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but it has looked like Miss Boudreaux from Albany has been pacing things this year.
She's on a roll. If you guys have ever seen her race, she just kind of sets the pace, and everybody's trying to play catch up, and that's no disrespect to anybody else, but she's kind of on another level. She won the Southland Steel Invitational, which was held at St. Thomas Aquinas over the weekend. That was a second straight title, first place finish for her. Albany didn't have enough people to put a team score up, but Caden's been on a roll. Then Live Oak also, they went to the Cub Run at Mount Carmel. Sylvia White was 17th, and Peyton Parker for the boys was 44th.
Okay.
So,
okay.
That's yeah, like you said, we're in it, man. It's rolling.
Right. So let's talk. I know. Or maybe you were being sent the scores. There was a volleyball game last night.
Yes. I actually went out and covered. I've been trying to make it between what's going on with personal stuff and getting recovered from hurricane stuff. I've been trying to make it out at least to one match a week if I can. Went out to see Santa Maria and Walker. That was a opening district for Walker. Santa Maria got started real fast. They swept them in three, 25-11, 25-15, and 25-19. It's just one of those things, Coach Guidry from Walker just said that, they dug a hole. When you dig a hole like that, it's hard to get out of, and that's kind of what happened. They improved set by set, but that first one was they got behind real early, had to kind of dig out. So, and this is they're just getting started in District 2, so this is they'll get another shot at them later on.
Sure. So, do you have any standings for us for volleyball?
No, I don't.
No,
I do not. They're just getting, like I said,
getting started
in district here. So, hope maybe next week we can look at that and see what we got.
Okay. Well, then let's talk football.
Sure.
So we are recording this on Wednesday. It will be released on Thursday. Because if you hadn't seen them, we did talk with Parish Councilman Tracy Girlinghouse last Friday about zoning and river rules. Released those two Monday and Tuesday. You can see them on our Facebook page. So going into, we have a Thursday night slate this week.
We have two games Thursday.
So who's playing?
We've got Walker be hosting the East Ascension, and let's see, we got Live Oak hosting Frederick Douglass, and that'll be homecoming for them.
Oh,
So, yeah, that's quick, isn't it?
it is. Jeez, this started flying. Well, first let's talk about that heavyweight bout between Walker and East Ascension. I mean, that's going to be Walker was looking for that bounce back game. You hate to use the word because it's kids playing kids, but they did. They demolished Bastrop. Kind of got back on track. How did they do this last weekend?
It's one of those things where you see 60-12 as a final score, and you go, Coach, man, it looks like you guys are rolling. They put up 50 some points the week before, and Coach Mahaffey was kind of like, no, there's a lot of stuff we need to work on. He said it wasn't our most crisp effort, and he kind of focused on some just little stuff that might stall drives, he said maybe a snap, bad snap, something like that, and up a penalty, something. So when you look at it, I said, hey, man, you're rolling. He goes, no. From my perspective, and coaches look at it with a different set of eyes. And I wasn't at the game, so this is just me talking to him. But at the same time, when you're facing East Ascension, I said, this should give you guys a pretty good test. And, he kind of chuckled. He goes, yeah, it's a pretty good one. They'll be starting district starts up next week. So he said this is kind of where they'll find out really quick. Really good gauge, called them a scary team on film. So they're looking forward to it. It's just seeing and kind of putting those mistakes behind them. Good thing for him, he's been trying to establish that run game, and they were able to do that a little bit. He said that might have been a little bit in the way that Bastrop played them, not putting so many people in the box, so it kind of frees some stuff up.
Sure. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, kind of trying to pace themselves going into district, right?
Right. This is a great test. Should be a good game. That's where I'll be tomorrow night.
Okay. And then tell us a little bit about what Live Oak's looking for.
Live Oak, they go out and they get a win over South Terrebonne. For them, it was they're able to kind of establish some stuff with a few different people in the ground game, which Coach Westmoreland was really happy about. He said they like to get more people involved in that ground game. He's also pleased with the defense. Got a couple turnovers. One of them was an interception return for a touchdown by Aiden Saunders. Aiden seems like he's been playing there forever, been starting as a freshman since he was a freshman. He's a senior now.
What was the name of the guy that played for Clemson that everybody thought played for like 7 years? Because Aiden reminds me of him. Why can't I think of his name? It'll come to me.
I know ATN was there for a while too.
Yeah.
He was there. I don't know if that's who you're looking for.
No.
A while.
Hunter Renfro.
Yeah.
Who was like a 10th year senior and played football.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just Aiden reminds me of
that's Aiden. He's been at a couple of weeks ago scored a touchdown. So it's kind of gravy for him there. But
right.
With Douglas, it's just he said they're going to bring a lot of pressure. So. That's something that they're going to account for defensively. That the offensive line has to kind of be ready for that. And he said they kind of in early this week. Yesterday they got some weather, so it's kind of between weather and homecoming and all that stuff. He said it's been just getting ready for the game has kind of been a challenge in itself.
Sure. Homecoming week can be distracting. So
yeah.
Well, let's move to the Friday slate. So we got Denham, Springfield, and Albany left. What have they got going on?
Denham is going to be hosting Tara. It's going to be interesting, though. They're able to get a win over Franklinton last week, 33-23. But in that win, they lose Reese Mooney, their quarterback, to a Coach Beer called it a broken ankle. He just goes for a slide. It's kind of an awkward slide, and he went to get up and didn't quite get up, kind of limped off. And, I know he posted pictures on social media. He's, in the wheelchair with the swollen ankle and everything. So Ryder Wygant came in and this was on their second series of the game. So Ryder came in and kind of, helped them get it done. They also lost Andrew Goodwin on the same series at tight end. So they're going to be without 4 starters for this game due to injury. So don't know kind of what Reese's prognosis is. Some are saying 6 to 8 weeks. We'll see what happens with that. But it could be, and Coach Beard didn't commit to Ryder either. It could be Jerry Horn, who's a freshman. So either he said you got a sophomore in Ryder or a freshman in Jerry. So it's one of those things where one of them brings something to the table and the other one brings something else to the table. So we're going to try to see what's going on. He said the plus about it is that, when you throw your backup quarterback in there kind of into the mix right after an injury, there's really no preparation there. You're just kind of, okay, here's what we're going to do. In this aspect, you know what's going to happen, so you can prepare whoever your starter is as a starter. So they go in and say, here's the game plan, and we can stick to this. So that's what they're dealing with.
Gotcha.
A little interesting situation there. So
yeah, that's tough. Those are tough. Ankle injuries or it's touch, especially with a quarterback. That's touch and go because you got to plant on that either foot.
That's just one of those deals, man.
Sure. So let's talk about the last two on the eastern side, Springfield and Albany.
Who you want to go with first?
Let's do Springy.
Springfield. The thing that Coach Surpass is harping on. They got Ben Franklin on Friday. They lose to Slaughter Charter. It was 28-20. I believe. Let me make sure. Clicking on this. 28-20, but they go down 22-0 in the first quarter. They're driving really well. He said we're able to establish what we want to. Things are working like we want. And first drive they fumbled and was returned. I think that was the drive where they had a fumble return for a touchdown really quickly. So it's one of those things, and he's sticking with it. He's like, we just got to get off to a fast start because we. He said, and he's going back to the Jamboree, when they played Independence, fell behind early and then kind of come back and then they wind up losing, come up short there. And it's just something that's happened for them, and he said another part of what's happening for it, and you don't want to make excuses, but they've been without Rick Bickner, who's a big part of what they do offensively and defensive. He's out with an ankle injury. So he said that changes what we do, and changes some of the things that we can do in terms of maybe big plays and getting some stops on the back end and on the defensive end.
So trying to, it's like you're right there, but kind of like Coach Mahaffey, you still got plenty to work.
Yeah. So it's, you look at it and it's one of those things. And they had a shot at the end. They, had a shot, had some time left and threw an interception on one of their later drives, and it allowed Slaughter to kind of run the clock out. So it wasn't, but you're playing catch up. That's the whole thing. You think we're playing catch up, and that's, we're trying to figure out ways for the guys to get off to that fast start, so we're not playing catch up the whole time. So
sure. And last but certainly not least, let's hit up Albany.
Albany, they're going to they've got Riverside this week at home, and they're coming off a loss to Parkview's 22-12. But you look at that, and Coach Knight was like, he said you can look at it and say it's a loss, but he said I was really proud of the way the guys competed. They're going in. They didn't have J.J. Doherty, and they're probably not going to have him this week either, with a shoulder injury. So Aiden Castile, sophomore, came in and got to start for him. He's going to get to start again this week, more than likely. So he said it's just kind of building on what they do. You can't you look at a loss, but he just said the way they competed. He goes, they never quit. Just kept fighting, and that's what he wants to see from them.
You're right. So lots of sports coverage the last about 10 minutes of the show. If you need to go back and take a listen, we talked about cross country, volleyball, and football. So into the fall sports in a big way. David, going to jump back over to you now. I want to talk a little bit about, and Mr. Jeff Taylor, our assessor, will be coming in to talk about this. But he spoke to the parish council about, and this is a yearly deal where the assessor comes and talks to the parish council about the total taxable value of real estate in Livingston Parish. This year, it kind of funny, they went through the review period, adjusted the books, had all the numbers ready, and then Ida. So that's going to kind of affect where things go. Tell us how that's going to work.
Well, I mean, it was looking good initially for this year, the taxable value would have been $503 million for the parish, which was an increase of $20 million from 2020, and that's even still counting. Mr. Taylor said the COVID discounts that some businesses got just because they still haven't gotten back to normal operations from the pandemic. But then, like you said, Ida hit. So, and this is something that he talked about, or it is something that happened after the flood in 2016. Jeff Taylor had to, and it's around the same time, and I mean, middle of August when he would typically have his value set and getting ready to present to the parish council, and then major natural disaster hit. So I haven't spoken to him this week, but the last time we had spoke, he had not determined what the reduction would be, and he probably, that's obviously something that he's going to present to the council. So he hasn't publicly made any sort of a declaration yet. But he said, during the flood, he basically broke up reductions over 4 years to give a total of an 85% reduction to property owners. And now we all know we pay the property taxes, and those go toward the communities. Whatever the communities need, that's the money that goes towards that. So there will be, and that was a main message he wanted to stress to people, is with property values. With those property owners getting reductions in their property values, that means there's going to be less money that is put into the parish, whether it be the council, school board, sheriff's office, all of that. And that's really the main message he wanted to stress, was all those entities need to get ready to basically, he said, tighten their belts. I mean, it's going to affect everybody. He said it's going to affect his office. And so he's still, in the midst of completing those assessments. We'll see whenever he comes in to visit with you next week if they've completed those. I know as of last week, they were about 45% done, or around 50% done. So, so we don't know yet how much he's done over the last week, but we'll know next week. But he also kind of said that he doesn't know if he's really looking toward doing the kind of discount he did after the flood, where you break it up over a certain amount of years, because he's saying people need this now. So, but like you said, he doesn't really know yet what he's going to do, because he has to complete the assessments first before he could determine what sort of discount to give to property owners. But basically, he wanted us to pass this message: if you had damage from Ida, to call the tax assessor's office. That's the most important thing right now, to call the assessor's office and be able to bring documentation of the damage you have, because if 50% of your home is damaged, he said you would get 50% discount. So basically, it's going to be a case-by-case basis. There's also going to be a flat reduction across the board, but there will be case-by-case basis where if you have more damage, you will get more of a reduction. So that's really important stuff to be looking for over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and please, the assessor's office, of course, you can find their number online. They have a brand spanking new office right in front of the parish governmental offices in the parish courthouse in the town of Livingston, almost right next to the interstate. I can't say it is right next to the interstate, but it's right there. It's very close. Please go contact them if you did have Ida damage. Of course, it's important. Your property is not worth as much right now. I don't want to say you've earned that reduction. That's not the right way to put it. But yeah, I guess you are entitled to that reduction. I also I can't remember. Did we talk about our National Merit finalists last week?
No, we did not.
Let's do that, because I believe they deserve to be mentioned. They are on the front page this week. We have two this year that are among I believe it's 10,000 nationwide. So if you consider there's probably about 40 million kids nationwide, that's a pretty stellar accomplishment. We've had some National Merit finalists in the past, but we always want to recognize them. So when you are ready, sir.
Yeah, no, I cannot pronounce her last name. I'm assuming it's Sydney Juno. It's Junot. She is from Denham High, and then Matthew Larpenter from Denham Springs High. Those are our two National Merit semifinalists, and actually, I believe it's you have 16,000 semifinalists.
Okay,
which is, I mean, the 0.01% of all students nationwide. So I mean, being a semifinalist in itself is a pretty surreal accomplishment, and then that'll be dwindled down to the finalists, and then from the finalists you will have your national merit winners, which is about 7,500 across the country. They get scholarships that go toward their post-secondary education. So yeah, I mean, these are two kids who are very involved in their communities. If you read, I know each of them scored in the mid to high 30s on their ACTs. Excuse me, I can't remember their exact score, but so yeah, very, very intelligent kids. And yeah, like you said, Livingston Parish usually has one or two of these a year. I know, and I can't remember if they had them last year, because last year was such a wacky year in 2020 because of COVID. But the year before, Livingston Parish actually had 4 kids that were that actually made national merit finalists. So they made it past the semifinalist phase to the finalist phase. So I mean, yeah, Livingston Parish, I think every year other than 2020, and like I said, I don't know for sure yet if 2020 they didn't have the competition just because COVID-19 just wrecked everything. Every year that I've been here, which is now moving toward 5 years, Jesus, it's they've had a semifinalist every year, at least one. In some years they've had 2. And some schools, I know Denham and Live Oak 2 years ago each had 2. So I mean, that's something that Livingston Parish schools are kind of getting used to now.
Sure. And I don't know if being here 5 years requires calling out the name of the Lord, but we're glad you're here. We like having you here.
Amen.
And all the brothers and sisters, they said amen. So thank you both. Going to let you guys introduce yourself as we're going to head into our usual weekly group meeting here at the Livingston Parish News. So this time on the introductions, we're going to start on my and the viewer's right.
Hey, this is David Gray, lifestyle editor with the news.
And on the left.
Hey, this is Rob DeArmond. I'm sports editor here at the Livingston Parish News.
And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate all of you guys out there for joining us. Appreciate these two gentlemen taking their time to come give us the lowdown on what's going on in Livingston Parish. Please remember that the news is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. You can find these podcasts and all the other interviews we do on any podcast platform. They are also on our website as well, and we post full video versions on our Facebook page. We do hope you have a great day. Hope everybody has a chance to make it out to Fall Fest this Saturday. Go local sports teams and go Tigers. Big game this weekend against Auburn. So that's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be the first benchmark to see where they really are. So it's going to be a good game. So hope everybody has a great rest of the week, a great weekend, and we will see you next time.